Welcome to another episode as the conference turns. That's right, we're back to talk about conference realignment here on Chat Sports Talk. This the thing that tends to drive the most views and whatnot. And we're going to dive right back into the old Pac and its rebirth. In case you've been living under the rock, the Pac-12 pretty much disintegrated down to Wazoo and Oregon State. They're hanging on to it, still having that 2-year hiatus until they have to get back to full status. They tried to work out a deal with Mountain West, fell apart. The next thing you know, they got Boise State, Colorado State, Fresno State, San Diego State to lead the Mountain West to join the Pac-2 to create the Pac-6. And I did a video about this, and quite a few other people did videos about this as well. And there's a bunch of their scenarios popping out there. I think the Pac's original goal, or their secret goal, the super secret probation, was to get Cal Stanford back into the fold, probably SMU, if the ACC implodes. Right now, that doesn't look that way. Colorado State, Florida, and Clemson Florida State and Clemson are kind of staying put, playing nice right now. So we see how that turns out for the ACC. That's a different topic. But then once those four from the Mountain West left, then the rumor mills just went haywire. Of course, I didn't help the matters much either. Because Memphis and Tulane were mentioned, as well as Air Force, San Jose State, UNLV, Utah State were all getting thrown in there. There's even talks of the American going after Air Force and UNLV after they got initially snubbed by the Pac. So you start seeing the vultures trying to circle around the Mountain West, and the Mountain West started to circle the wagons a bit. But then earlier in the week, in terms of recording this video, Memphis, Tulane, UTSA, and South Florida came out and said they are rebuking the Pac-12's invitation to join and staying with the American. But you got to think, behind closed doors, they're probably looking at seeing either the Big 12 or possibly the ACC trying to grab them. And that's what they're waiting for. Well, then that happened. And then the Mountain West, all of a sudden, they all start saying, okay, they're going to stick together. And then Utah State announced they were leaving and joining the Mountain West exodus to the Pac. That give the Pac-6 goes back to the Pac-7. The Mountain West is now down to 7. Air Force then stated they're staying in the Mountain West, rebuking the Americans' approach. I would love to see all three service academies in the same conference. That really helped them out scheduling non-conference games. Even though the Army-Navy game is still a non-conference game. So that way they maintain that outside of the pretty much regular season. But I'll free up 3-4 non-conference games a year for them, which will be beneficial for them. But that's beside the point. And then UNLV and San Jose State both stated that they're staying in the Mountain West, also rebuking the Pac-7. Now, for the Pac and the Mountain West, they need to get to 8. In order to get to 8, that gives their conference champion eligible in the college playoff, which means they can get that first round bye, which probably won't happen, but since there's any chance they could get that. But, it's trying to figure out where to go. Now, for the Pac-7, there's actually in talks with Gonzaga for them to join the conference, get them to 8 in basketball. But I got to think Gonzaga is also being courted by the Big 12. But I think that's kind of fallen away a bit. So I can see Gonzaga joining the Pac and making them the Pac-8. Now for them to get there, the latest rumor, and I hate to say it, probably make the most sense, get UConn. It's going to be like what the ACC did. The Atlantic Coast Conference got Cal and Stanford, as well as SMU, to join the conference. So 2 West Coast schools playing in the East Coast Conference. That's what the Pac will have to do with these 7 Western time zone schools. We get that 1 East Coast program. It doesn't make any sense. When has college conference realignment made any sense whatsoever? It hasn't at all. It's just been a continuous turmoil of schools rebuking age-old rivalries for greener pastures. That's all it is. Bucking for tradition for money. But that's not what we're here for. We're here about the college realignment. And that's my take on why I think all this is just degrading the landscape for college football and college athletics in particular. But in terms of these conferences, for the Pac-7 to get to the Pac-8, I think Gonzaga and UConn need to be added. They'll make sure they'll have 8 programs in both football and basketball. And I think the basketball will look a little bit better when you have San Diego State and Gonzaga in the same conference. Now, for the Mountain West, they have a couple options. One, I like to see them go after New Mexico State, UTEP. Let them know, hey, you want a conference that's in your time zone. Plus, you have your New Mexico game every year. You guys are all rivalries. It makes sense. You don't have to worry about going out to the East Coast, waking up, your fans waking up 2-3 hours earlier just to watch you play. The reason why UTEP went to Conference USA in the first place is because they want to play more Texas schools in more of a central time zone type of aspect. Those programs have all left. They're only left with Sam Houston right now on the opposite side of the state. Now, the Conference USA did help UTEP by bringing New Mexico State, but since they start adding programs, it's always been Eastern programs. Kennesaw State, Delaware, Missouri State. The writing's got to be on the wall for New Mexico State and UTEP. This conference is not for you. Let's go more geographic. Makes one a little more sense. You have history with these programs, and it could be good for you. That's if they could break away from Conference USA, mind you. Option 2, raid the Big Sky. I think that's going to be everyone's top priority. The Montanas are definitely on top priority right there. Bringing 2 powerhouses into the conference. Within a couple years, they will be running the Mountain West. At Sacramento State, get another program in California that will help San Jose State. Those are the 3 I'll definitely go after. Other ones to consider would be Idaho. I know that name has been floating around a few times. I've avoided it because they were once in the FBS and couldn't maintain the presence and drop back down to revitalize their athletic program, which has happened. But they have the experience, so they can actually come back up and go there. Weber State get you back into Utah. But I think, those two are outliers right now. Another thing I think the Mountain West should do is either pluck either Utah Valley or Cal Baptist from the WAC for basketball. I'll hedge my bets on the Wolverines of Utah Valley first to get him back into the Beehive State after losing now BYU, Utah, and Utah State. Need to get back in there. Utah Valley is the next progression along with Weber State. But I think Utah Valley will be there first unless they can get Weber State to join and 4 teams leaving the Big Sky for the Mountain West. Another 2 programs to consider, which everyone always seems to consider, North Dakota State, South Dakota State. North Dakota State has been a dominant factor since they made it to the FCS. They were a dominant program, D2. Once they make the jump up, a couple seasons later, they're right back where they were at. Now they've started to falter a bit, but that has allowed South Dakota State to start building up their program, and now they're up there as well as one of the powerhouses. But with the Dakotas, they could pick any conference to join, and they will be accepted. I'll be hesitant to put them in the Mountain West, but I would not deny them. When it comes to conferences, on more traditional aspect that comes to that, I want more of the regionalized back, when it made geographic sense and you had that integrated hatred for these programs, and it was classic, basically. Now you're trying to force a rivalry between Texas and South Carolina. I mean, it getting on topic. That's why I kind of, push aside the fact that the Mountain West, I think they're more MAC, but they might be Conference USA. It could be even the American can grab them. The American grab them. That is a bold move right there. Actually, I kind of like that one. Give him a couple heavy hitters. But there's things are going to play out, especially if New Mexico State and UTEP leave Conference USA. If that happens, I wouldn't be surprised if Sam Houston, Missouri State, move to the Sun Belt. Trying to help balance out that conference. I can see the Dakotas going to Conference USA to help backfill, which is what the Conference USA seems to be doing right now. It's backfilling with other FCS programs. And they're not getting slouches. They're getting programs that can compete. So it's interesting how these pieces continue to get moved and how schools shift allegiances and trying to create new rivalries or maintain rivalries and moving forward, trying to find those greener pastures. Remember, the grass is not always greener on the other side. But I think a lot of these programs need to look at trying to see what they can do to better their students, to better their athletes, and to ensure the viability of their athletic programs, ensure they attract more stars or higher recruits to their universities. Make sure to get better deals, to get more exposure. And it's almost a business when it comes to college athletics. But those things you have to kind of consider in terms of these conference realignments is what's going to make the best fit for those programs in turn that are moving. And for those conferences, what schools will actually help elevate your presence. Well, there's a scenario of the latest episode of how the conference turns, and you'll see that now the Pac-7 and the Mountain West both need to add that one extra program to get to 8, which ensures that their viability in the college football playoff. to pay out their conference champion, be able to be eligible for that first round bye, or just that selection, the first 5. And so there's scenarios that could possibly play out, especially for the Pac. There's a way for them to get to 8 that somewhat makes sense, but not really. And there's avenues what the Mountain West can do, and then possibly the domino effect that's going to happen further down the line. But let me know what you think. Like I said, a lot of things has happened, and I've kept out of it for a bit because I was trying to wait to see what other piece would fall, and it was like rapid fire. Once one fell, it was like a huge domino effect. So had spit this out today. We'll see how this transpires, but I do think UConn will probably make it to the Pac-8. Makes no sense to me, but then have Gonzaga on the other end for basketball. Mountain West, New Mexico State and UTEP make the most sense if they can get out of Conference USA. If not, the Montanas, and probably in Utah Valley, for the basketball aspect to offset Hawaii. But let me know down below what you think. Do you like how these conferences are being realigned? Because I don't. But I just mean, like I said, I'm a little more traditional when it comes to conference alignments, so we'll leave it at there. What do you think will be the next domino to fall? Let's mix it in the comments below. Really appreciate you guys' engagement in this aspect. Especially you, Damascus. You've always come up with very unique scenarios and another perspective on realignment scenarios. But you like what I do, and you stuck around to the end, go ahead, hit the thumbs up. It means the world to me. It really helps out this video a lot. Another thing you can do is subscribe. A lot of you guys are subscribed. I appreciate it. Even you're a new one, the new guys that have subscribed to this channel, I totally appreciate it. The more the merrier. Always helps out. All you can do is hit that subscribe button, click that bell icon, turn notifications next time I post any more content on my channel. And I'll see you next time on Chat Sports Talk.